I don't know what get a Stanley means, but that sounds horny. It sounds horny as hell, bro. It sounds horny.
Yo, welcome back. Facts and the King. I'm the Butter King, Dr. Facts. I fucking love your shirt, man. Let me ask you one simple question. Do you think I could walk around wearing that shirt?
Absolutely. Shout out to the Chattanooga Lookouts, baby. What a college team name, man.
Hell yeah, Noogas.
I seen this shirt trending, and I had to grab one before they were fully out of production. So I'm glad I got it. I think it's a great looking shirt, and shout out to the Lookouts. How you been, Beau?
I'm good, man. For what it's worth, I'd make that shirt a cutoff for sure, without a doubt.
You and cutoffs, man.
Yeah, well, you know, if you got it, flaunt it, Facts. I've been good though. I was up in South Dakota over the weekend. Went to that Bellator fight, Bellator 298. The boys went 2-0. Logan the Storm Storley, excuse me, had a very decisive, kind of TKO over Brennan Ward, and then our other young boy, Michael Blockus, in his MMA debut was a fucking dog, and took his opponent out in the first round. It was really fun, though. Like, first time in South Dakota, met up with my former teammate from Philadelphia Eagles, Nate Gary, who's an absolute fucking legend. He lives in Sioux Falls, so caught up with him over the weekend.
How close were your seats?
Close. We had some really good seats.
So how are those sounds when you're sitting close and you're hearing someone get fucking rocked in their face?
It's serious, man. That was my first ever MMA fight, and the violent collisions of football are one thing, but like we kind of get used to that. In MMA, it's you and one other guy in the ring, and when you take a shot or you like someone gets, it's like a smack, dude. It's very visceral.
I went to, believe it or not, a pillow fighting championship event before to support one of my female friends who does it on the female side. Shout out to Kendall Volker. But in between each like pillow fighting match, there would be a real MMA match, and that's the first time that I've ever like been at an MMA match. And like you're saying, that smacking sound of hearing someone get punched in the face, or more when someone gets kicked like in the body or the legs, that sound is so it's a crazy ass sound to hear. And like football hits, like they have crazy sounds also when you hear them, that you get a reaction.
But that's like helmet on helmet,
Yes.
It's like, this is like fist on cheek or like shin on shin. And dude, those guys are crazy, man. It's different.
How tough are those guys? You have to be in a different mindset, right?
Yeah. And I don't know, like 3 5-minute rounds is exhausting. Like I don't think anybody understands how exhausting that is. And then dude, this crazy Michael Blocks is like this young kid that he went to the University of Minnesota. So he's a gopher, which, I don't really hold that against him because he's a fucking badass. But like he had his guy down, was like hammer fisting him, and then like he had all this blood on his glove, and in between the round he like wiped it off on his own neck, and I was like, that's the most badass thing I've ever seen in my fucking life.
It's fucking gross.
I mean, it was pretty sweet. So shout out to those guys. Like we were 2-0, we were going crazy. I don't know if I've ever said "hell yeah, brother" more in my entire life. That was kind of my catchphrase of the weekend. So. Hell yeah, brother.
South Dakota. That sounds fun. So I got to, I think hopefully not, maybe one of the last floats of the summer, got to float on the river this weekend with the boys. I got my first kayak fishing catch, Beau.
Hey.
And using my chilling reel with a nice cold beer in it. So I am excited. I feel good about myself. And I don't know, like since starting this little fishing hobby that I had, I'm starting to realize the sensation of feeling a fish grab your line. It's up there. It's up there for like a real, like it's a different feeling, and I'm getting more and more into it. But actually being able to catch a fish on the line, on the water, more importantly, doing it while Chris was actually there, because he gives me shit. And anytime I post videos, he's like, yo, you put that fish on there. Like, you didn't catch it. So being able to actually catch it in front of the guys while being on the river, it was a good great into the summer if that was going to be the last float. So
what happens if you get like a monster fish on that chilling reel?
Yo, I don't know. I'm waiting to see what happens. Like, I really don't even know what pound test like that. That's like what pound like fish my line can hold. But who knows? Like,
You gotta be holding that
snap.
beer real tight.
It might just yank it out my hand.
You don't want that. You don't want to lose the fish and the beer. That's like adding insult to injury facts. Brutal.
Hopefully that will never happen. Yeah, it's a fucking bummer that floating is about to be over, but I'm glad that I got the last float in, but excited that college football is about to start.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is going to be our conference that we spotlight this week. It's been a hot topic of conversation for a lot of reasons within conference realignment. One team that I'm really excited to see perform is Colorado. Colorado with Deion Sanders making their debut in the Pac-12. It's their last season in the Pac-12 before they make the change to the Big 12 as part of realignment. But Deion Sanders is going to be in an interesting position this year. You know, he's got an opportunity to really make a statement for himself on a larger scale in the world of college football. They've got 4 of the top 50 of ESPN's transfers. They've got a number 1 recruiting class, but we haven't really seen what he could do on a big scale. I'm excited to see Shedeur Sanders under center. I'm excited to see Travis Hunter. He's going to play 2 ways, DB and wide receiver. This is a team that has the opportunity to do a lot of great things, but like I said, we haven't seen what Deion Sanders can do in a larger scale in college football, so it's going to be a big season for him.
I'm excited to see that show get started and happening. I'm excited to see them run. I'm actually a little disappointed that we're not going to see Deion get to run out with the Buffalo because of his whole foot ordeal. But that is very exciting this season coming up with this team because they're the talk of the offseason for sure for college football as a whole. Just the way Deion has made his impact and transferring to this school, everyone's waiting to see how the final product is going to look. And the fact that we're a few weeks away from actually seeing it is very, very exciting.
Hell yeah, brother. And their spring game sold out too for the first time ever. So Buffs fans are very excited. I'll be honest with you guys. The Pac-12 doesn't usually get my dick very hard, but I'm pretty torqued on Oregon State this year. There's a lot to be excited about for them. They had 10 wins last year under Jonathan Smith. He's coming up on his sixth season as their head coach. Interestingly enough, they've had 3, 10-win seasons in the history of their program. He's kind of been responsible for 2 of them, last year. And then in 2000, he was a quarterback, led them to 10 victories. But the reason I'm mostly excited is because transfer quarterback from Clemson, DJ Uiagalelei. God, I fucking nailed that. Let's go.
Let's go.
You guys probably remember he was highly, very, very hyped out of Clemson when he was a freshman. I think Trevor Lawrence was out for 2 games, and DJ Uiagalelei crushed it and kind of created this hype train that, has unfortunately stalled out a little bit because 2 seasons later he's now transferring, or I guess, he's transferring to Oregon State. So he's really going to head up that offensive attack. Honestly, I fucking love this guy. He's 6'4", he's 240 pounds. I was watching some of his tape, and he's kind of a specimen. His dad is also was like this huge Samoan dude that was a bodybuilder and a bodyguard for celebrities in California, which is just fucking badass.
Fire.
Yeah, and he seems like a great guy. He's really talented. So it's going to be really interesting to see if he can kind of recapture some of that magic from his freshman season at Clemson. That's what we're most stoked about. Oregon State had a very solid defense last year. They're really good in run defense and really good in red zone defense. And part of that is James Rawls, who should continue to be productive after 10 TFLs last year. Linebacker Easton Mascarenas-Arnold was a huge part of that successful run defense. And then another veteran safety in Ryan Cooper, who would be a really good, defensive presence in that defensive backfield. Honestly, Oregon State ranked pretty highly. I think a lot of that is on the hype, from DJ. We'll see what happens with them.
Yeah, they sound like they're going to have a pretty solid team this year, but the team I'm going within the Pac-12 is going to be Washington. I watched Washington a little bit last year because of UVA transfer Wayne Talupapa. He was a running back for them, and him and his Heisman hopeful quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., not to be confused with Michael Penis Jr., which some reporters have mistaken before. If you swap out that X for an S, it can get tricky on the eyes, but
It can get very fun.
Yeah, but he coming back and building off the season he had last year, I think he's a guy that everyone is excited to see him improve on his skills. And last year was the first time he got a chance to play an entire season. He was a transfer from IU, where when he was playing there, because of COVID and injuries and other things, he's only played about 6 games in past seasons before. So last year he played a full 13. They went 11-2. He threw about 31 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. So just having a season like that, it's going to be interesting to see him build off of that. And he has some returning guys coming back this year in the wide receiving core with Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan that he can really pad the stats with these guys because they're both coming off great seasons, and it's going to be interesting to watch them play. And then if they continue to win games the way they were last year, getting ahead on guys early, on the defensive front, on the edges, is going to be very, very interesting to watch Braylon Trice on the edges make some plays this year. So Washington is the team I'm going to look at this year, and they're one of the only teams that look fucking sick in purple. Like, I mean, in the NFL, we have the Ravens, but for some reason, their jerseys, that purple and I don't know, gold, I guess it is the other color. It's a sick get up, and I'm gonna pick them this year to do well in the Pac-12.
So Foch talked about Shadur Sanders. I talked about DJ Uiagalelei. You talked about Michael Penix Jr. These are all guys that might be, very successful quarterbacks in the Pac-12 this year. A couple Heisman hopefuls. Another Heisman guy that's been in the news a lot lately is Johnny fucking Football for his Untold documentary. We all kind of watch that. There's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about from that. Tell me what you thought about it, Facts.
Johnny Football. This documentary, I watch a lot of documentaries, and this was one that at the end of it, I was just like, no, there's not another one. This isn't a series. Like, this was, I think it was so good. But like I said, watching it, I was watching this with my girl, and I was explaining to her that the people from NCAA were probably just like punching the air watching this doc, like, why iota? Because it just showed that like 2 young, like 18 and 19-year-olds, they like really duped a lot of people. Like, they duped a lot of people, and they made a lot of fucking money when this was blatantly illegal. Like, before the NIL, and when they were taking away people like Reggie Bush, they still have not given Reggie Bush his Heisman back for accepting like $300,000. In this short doc, we watched Johnny Manziel like make way more than $300,000 like doing car deals and whatever else appearances he was doing backdoor. And it was just so interesting. I'm so intrigued, and I wonder if this is going to spark guys just not caring, and we're going to maybe get a lot more stories about these boosters and about how much money or what type of perks like some college kids really had during these times when all this was faux pas and illegal.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so interesting how shameless Johnny Football is about it. Like, he's doing the money, Manziel. Like, it's just so obvious. He's flying around to all these different destinations, going to all these huge events, sitting courtside, sitting at the 50-yard line, the Super Bowl. These are tickets that are like thousands of dollars. Believe me. I mean, you fucking know.
What was your best part?
There was a lot that I love. Like when after that game, against Alabama, which is like such a Manziel like memory. And this is like when I was in college, you know what I mean? So like, we're like, oh my God, like Johnny Manziel, like this guy can fucking ball. He has that. He takes that snap and bobbles it, runs around, and then he's like, you walk off the field like a fucking G. I thought that was so interesting. All, NCAA topics and like signing for money aside, I thought it was very interesting just to watch kind of, usually these documentaries, they'll talk about like growth as a player or like growth as a person. And it was kind of a bummer. I felt like it ended on a little bit of a low note because like it just ends with him. Like it talks about his whole journey and, all the shit he went through and like all the internal struggles with addiction and partying and, his image and, what it was like to have all these expectations in Cleveland. And he goes to rehab. He goes to rehab again. He has a falling out with his family. But then they end the documentary with him just chopping it up with his boys, like drinking a beer. And you're like, I just want to be like, yo, man, like, can you fucking learn a little bit from this? Like, come on.
Nah, but like what I got from that is that he didn't love football. He said that in the doc that like really he was playing for the parties. Like he wanted to be good on the field because he knew that he loved the party and he loved the attention. But if I ball out and we win, then I'm going to be the man tonight. Like, it's going to be lit for me and my homeboys, and I want that feeling. But the craziest part of the doc to me is when him and his agent, they call and they make the mother... What is it, Fosha? They make
his agent calls his dad after Manziel like stays clean, goes out partying, and he calls his agent. And he's like, "Yo, man, like, I'm not going to pass a drug test." And so his agent's instant reaction is to call his dad and be like, "Look, man, we got to get him out of this. We need you to fake a heart attack or something." And then his dad immediately turns around and looks at his mom and he's like, "I'm not doing this shit. You got to do this." His mom is in tears. She's in shambles. And his agent is just stone cold Steve Austin out there. Doesn't give a fuck.
Yo, W agent, you got to do what you got to do for your client. And like, obviously all the tactics that him and the people around him used during this time for him to get drafted, like when he did, and none of this stuff, like really, like ruin his career and like in the time when it was happening is crazy. It's all crazy top to bottom. And like to go into the next segment, Nate Fitch is going to be my young entrepreneur of the week because his involvement in all of this, setting up those deals and making sure, mainly coming up with the cover-up story to just tell everyone when the heat was really on them, hey, we're just going to tell everyone that you're a rich little white boy, that you came from money, and that's where all of this money's coming from.
Oil money.
And bro, the montage that they played after that scene when he said that, and it showed all the top sports reporters just like throwing this up verbatim that he was just a rich kid with no background checking. Like, and obviously, the internet wasn't the same back then as it is now, but the fact that he was just so polarizing and such a big name that a reporter out there didn't find a way to really deep dive and follow the money or find out that he was really doing something wrong is crazy to me. It's crazy. But shout out to Nate because he worked that out, and to watch them rake in that money and to see how much money they were making as 18, 19-year-olds, like young entrepreneur of the week. Bravo to you, bro.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good friend of fucking Johnny Manziel, man. And then I feel like Johnny Manziel dropped him really fast. I think the quote in the doc was something along the lines like, once, Johnny fucking football was starting to prepare for the combine and, kind of revamp his image a little bit, he separated himself from Nate, basically because he had different representation now. And I think he said, like, I don't know if we've spoken since then. And it was sad because Nate was kind of just like, yeah, that was like one of my fucking best friends. We grew up together. Like, I did all this shit for him. I was his fall guy. And then,
like, on the other side, to play devil's advocate, I kind of get it. Like, he was the main guy with him when he was doing the illegal stuff. And as an agent, like, hey, if I got to know everything that was going on, I need to know everything. And realistically, the only thing that can trip you up right now, realistically is if this dude Nate ends up waking up a day and is like, yo, I don't care if I blow everything up in my life, I'll blow everything up in your life too, and I'll spill all the facts. So maybe that was the best thing to do in the time being, but who knows? Maybe this doc will bring them back together. Maybe they'll talk again. But shout out to them. End all be all, the doc was great.
It was great, and it's interesting because Johnny Manziel is one of the most public. Besides maybe Tim Tebow, they're obviously very different ends of the spectrum. One of the most public college football players of all time. Was fucking electric at Texas A&M. But another very public NFL and college football player is Michael Oher. Obviously, the movie The Blind Side, and that brings me to my beef of the week. This week is against Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock, how do you not do your homework a little bit on the Toohey family? I can't believe that you would mislead the public with this feel-good story. It maybe doesn't quite feel as good as it should now
she
because
won Oscars for this.
I know. The latest is that Michael Oher is suing the Toohey family basically because they kind of had a conservatorship over him.
No, not had, still had. That's why he's suing.
It's a Britney Spears kind of situation.
Yep.
And they never actually adopted him. And so essentially he has received no royalties, no nothing, and isn't even adopted into the family, while the Tooheys have just been raking in cash from this movie, from the publicity, from everything.
The sickest part is to hear about that specific point is everyone in the family is making royalties off this movie except for him. And they're using his likeness. I
don't necessarily believe that, though, Fax, because here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. How much do you think the Toohey family is worth?
Bro, probably like $500 million, bro.
$200 million.
No, okay, yeah. And to find out that they're this terrible of a people, that means they got money hidden. And the greatest thing about all of this coming out, I am so for them getting tooth and comb. Like, everyone's going to be in their business to figure all this stuff out, and we're going to get so much information, and I'm all for it. Because people, when you're evil like this, you have so many skeletons, and I hope they all come out, and I hope Michael Oher gets as much money for him and his family as he possibly can. Because the way they portrayed him in that movie, like he was just some dumb, ignorant black kid that they fucking saved, and like that they were some fucking saviors. It's absolutely crazy. And I hope Coach Freeze gets pulled in this too, because he used this whole shit too. Like, to piggyback him way up, he was his high school coach, to now this dude is coaching in college and making all this money. Like, I hope all of it gets exposed. All of it, top to bottom, gets exposed, because this is crazy.
Facts. My biggest problem, too, is that movie is not fucking good. I'm just going to be honest with you. The Blind Side movie is not good. It's like, hey, Michael, this is what a bet is. And then the funniest line to me is like,
I never seen this before. And she was like, what? You never had your own room? He's like, no. A bed. It's so fucking stupid. But here's the thing, like, I'm glad now that the story comes out, and I'm glad Michael, the way he did it, because I think it was already on paper that he's always said he didn't like that movie. And I love the fact that he's kept quiet. Like, no one's really known that this was like brewing or gonna happen. And then it's just bam, like it all happened and it's hitting the bomb. But I'm glad it's happening.
Fun fact for you, The Blind Side was actually filmed at my high school in Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah, filmed at Westminster in Atlanta. You could see like our practice fields. Our high school football coach is actually in the movie as one of the assistant coaches. So kind of a hit on our high school now too.
Nah, yeah, he should be liable too. I don't know about that, Fauché.
Jerry's got to be careful now.
They all should be liable, man, because these people are, like, these stories right now, these people are diabolical. They had a fucking plan, and they executed that plan to a T. And the fact that they're fucking greedy enough not to be giving Michael like some money already, like this has to happen for him to get money. And the fact that they still own his likeness and like have that conservatorship, whatever the fuck it is absolutely insane. Like, cut it the fuck out. Like, just be decent human beings and stop the bullshit. Like, it's crazy. That shit is so crazy. And just like you said, Sandra Bullock, do your research. And if they do a documentary about the spin of this, I think she needs to play that lady again while everyone's shitting on her. I think she needs to do it again so that she can clear her name up, because that is some BS top to bottom, bro. Because everyone thought that they were some saviors. Oh, the white family is giving this black kid a chance. And realistically, they're stealing and they're finagling. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Amen, brother. Well, I think there's also a lot of very interesting comparisons to be made from the Manziel documentary, which we just talked about. With how much money Johnny Manziel made for Texas A&M, how much different people were profiting off of him. And you can tell that he obviously has a major bone to pick with the NCAA. I think he said literally, like, I fucking can't stand the NCAA. And then, kind of takes us into this Michael Oher story where he's being exploited, by another, family. And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting information to come out about this, but you can tell, like, there's just, these athletes get taken advantage of, really. At the end of the day, these athletes get taken advantage of, and it's not right.
It's really not, and that's why I'm ready for all of the information to come out. Like, I'm excited. I hope everyone that was involved in this, I hope they're all panicking. Like, I hope they're all preparing for the worst, because I am excited to see what is going to go on with that, for sure. But moving on.
Yeah, this is my favorite segment. Let me, if you don't mind me taking over the mic here for a moment, Dr. Facts. Shit you talk to your girl about. We get on this podcast, we chop it up about different things in sports world, mainly different guy stuff like MMA fights and whatnot. And if you're listening to this at home, you might be like, damn, what do I talk to my fucking girl about? Because I've been listening to this podcast and she is not interested in any of this. So here I am, the Butter King. I'm going to tell you exactly what to talk to your girl about today, and it's this. Your skincare routine, boys. Talk to your girl about your skincare routine. So unlike Dr. Facts, I don't have beautiful chocolatey dark skin. And so I need to actually take care of myself. So here's all you got to do. Go on www.amazon.com. You might have heard of it. Order yourself some CeraVe Hydrating Facial Cleanser. I like the one in the green bottle. Then you go The Ordinary.
Dang,
The Ordinary is a great skincare company. It's honestly not that expensive. Check it out if you want to. You can go to Ulta. You can go to Sephora. You can pick that shit up. Exactly. Get yourself some hyaluronic acid. Get yourself some niacinamide. Get yourself some under-eye caffeine solution. Then you're going to want to get a daily moisturizer, okay? I like something with a little bit of SPF in it. Speaking of SPF, very important to take care of your skin on your face. Get some Ulta MD. That's a really good product. She's going to like that. Do not get Supergoop. Not good. Not good for your skin.
Too much vitamin D is not always good.
Amen, brother. And then, so you're going to do all of that, talk to your girl about it, and then what you also want to say is the most important thing is hydration. Get a little Stanley, drink that all day, just like what your girlfriend is doing, and then you're fucking good. So talk to your girl about your skincare routine. That's mine. You can tell I'm fucking glowing right now.
Bro, that is a complex routine, and I don't know what get a Stanley means, but that sounds horny. It sounds horny as hell, bro. It sounds horny.
Folks, you want to back me up on this? Why don't you explain the facts what a Stanley is?
I mean, personally, I don't own a Stanley, but it's like one of those big, like, Yeti cups. It's like a Yeti for a girl, and they've got, like, a handle. They've got, like, a straw. Personally, I'm totally pro-straw. I'm pro-straw.
Oh, me too. It's like an adult baby bottle. It makes it so much easier to hydrate and to get that water intake. You need that sometime.
I'm pro turtle, but at the end of the day, I'm also pro straw.
That is funny.
I feel like I was just speaking a different language. And Dr. Fax is just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. You guys had to keep schooling me in on the white lingo sometimes, because I definitely didn't know that.
Well, now you get Peyton Manning to start schooling you, because he just joined in as an adjunct professor at Tennessee in the communications department, kind of acting as a liaison. Pretty absurd that they're just going to bring him on as a professor with essentially no credentials other than his football knowledge. But it was making me wonder, if you two were to go back to school, what do you think that you guys would be teaching Dr. Fax and the Butter King?
Dr. Fax, Hustling 101. It'll be a class about flipping Pokemon cards, how to manage an eBay account, how to use Etsy, and how to just resell, the resale market, about thrifting, tag sales, and how you can make money from ordinary stuff that people throw away in their everyday life. Like it'll be a lit, like, low budget entrepreneur. Yeah, maybe teach kids while they're in college just how to maximize, if they want and need money, how they can be reselling and making some bread, hustling 101.
Doctorate facts.
What about
PhD
you?
in hustling. Yeah, so if any sort of college or university approaches me about teaching a course, they say, "Hey, Beau, we want you to come in here. We want you to teach this class." I'm going to just look them straight in the eye and say, "Fuck no, baby. I just graduated. I'm done. I'm free. I'm not going back for nothing."
I thought you wanted to excel in your HR position.
Well, facts. We all know I'm incredibly passionate about HR. It's something I really, really care about, and I'm so happy to have my degree in HR. And I've just loved all those classes that I took. But, I need a little breather from school for a little bit. Maybe I'll wait a little bit like Peyton did.
All right, last thing for the day. In the quarterback vein, Teddy Bridgewater, the backup for the Detroit Lions, shout out Teddy Two Gloves, recently signing, has picked to wear the number 50. And I don't know about you guys, but that is an ugly-ass jersey number. I would not be caught dead repping 50 under center.
You wouldn't be caught dead under center anywhere, Fauché. But moving on, you like it, Beau?
I love it.
The only reason why I think it's interesting is only if they're going to try to use it to their advantage for some type of sneakery, because having 50 can get confusing, like with a backfield, if you're trying to do wildcat or certain things, because I feel like linebackers and defensive back, you're trained to see certain numbers at certain positions, and you don't want to think, like, not that Teddy looks like an old lineman, but like that's a center number. 50 is a center's number. It's just like, what are you doing?
I like that. Hey, Teddy B's always been like a no swag kind of guy, besides the two gloves.
That is true.
But I think it's cool. It's like, fuck it, man. New team. Let's do something crazy. It reminds me of, the Patriots. Like when I was in New England, Bill has this thing where, like, whenever you're a rookie, like, you don't get to pick your number. You get assigned a number. So you always see these just shitty numbers on these rookie players. And it's so funny because, like, you're out there in the field and you just double take. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I remember Mac Jones wore number 50 as a rookie. And now he's rocking number 10. But I kind of love it. I mean, I think, that's kind of an unsexy, sexy quarterback number. I'm into it, frankly. I think there could be a lot worse numbers. Like when I was in Philly, Carson Wentz with 11, like something about that always looks so off to me. I don't know. So 50 is not bad in my mind.
Since he left UVA, I could shit on Brandon Armstrong a little bit, but even though I wore 98 as a quarterback is nasty. It does not look good. That's an old lineman number, or it's really a defensive number, but some of these numbers are crazy. And then I think it just got introduced in the NFL that guys can wear 0. And I think that's going to be nasty unless you're a huge fat guy like Albert Hainsworth, like 0. Like I think on a big fat nose tackle that'll be lit. But other than that, I think 0 is going to be nasty, and people are going to be wearing that. And then if they address it more, if you allow 0, then someone eventually is going to get 00, and it's going to look double nasty. I don't know. I guess I get it. We're going to run out of numbers for teams when you retire numbers and things of that sort. So bringing in 0 and 00, but it looks crazy. But it's just going to be different for us as viewers looking at tape and noticing things because of some of these numbers for sure.
If I could say this, facts, I'd say this. At the end of the day, rock whatever fucking number you can ball out in, man. If you're going to ball out number 50, fucking rock that shit.
Oh, yeah. The person makes the number, and the number doesn't make the person. At the end of the day, the player makes the number doesn't make the person. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday for a brand new Facts and the King. It's your boy, Dr. Facts, and that is Beau Allen, the Butter King, and our guy, Fauché. We appreciate you guys. See you next week.